Trump's team secretly met with Alberta separatists and dangled a mind-blowing $500 billion offer. The plan? Pull Alberta out of Canada and make it America's 51st state. They saw Alberta as a gold mine, oil-rich, conservative, and fed up with Ottawa's politics. Trump's Treasury Secretary even called it a natural American partner, like the deal was already in the bag. Behind closed doors, the U.S. State Department cooked up secret meetings, promising Alberta a $500 billion credit line. Every piece was in place. Washington thought they could peel Alberta away without taking the rest of Canada. It was bold, it was risky, and it was about to explode into the biggest political play in North America. But then, Mark Carney stepped in and flipped the entire game with one brilliant strategic move. He gave Alberta exactly what it had been fighting for, a fair deal that made staying Canadian actually make sense. In just weeks, over 456,000 Albertans signed petitions declaring they'd stick with Canada. That's when Trump's dream fell apart. The $500 billion promise turned into dust overnight. Carney didn't just block Trump, he outsmarted him. The separatist push collapsed, and Alberta's loyalty to Canada was locked in tighter than ever. In this story, we'll break down exactly how Carney crushed Trump's Alberta takeover plan, what the U.S. promised behind those secret doors, and why those hundreds of thousands of Albertans chose loyalty over money. This is the wild story of how Canada kept Alberta, and how Trump learned the hard way that you can't buy provinces that feel respected. Before we dive in, remember this was all first exposed by the Financial Times, which uncovered one of the most daring political backroom plots in recent history. Trump's State Department officials secretly met with the Alberta Prosperity Project, APP, not once but 3 times since last April. The APP isn't some random group, it's a far-right organization fighting hard for an Alberta independence referendum. Its leaders include Mitch Sylvester from the United Conservative Party and Jeffrey Rath, a lawyer who's been the face of Alberta's separatist movement. Both of them actually traveled to Washington to take part in these hush-hush meetings. And these weren't casual coffee chats, they had a tight, strategic agenda. Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, even went public saying Alberta was a natural partner for the United States. He praised the province's oil wealth, its fiercely independent people, and even hinted at a future referendum for sovereignty. During an interview with the right-wing network Real America's Voice, he bragged that Albertans want what the United States has. Then came the bombshell. Jeffrey Rath confirmed the meetings and proudly posted online that the APP planned to ask the U.S. Treasury for a $500 billion credit line. $500 billion to bankroll Alberta's breakaway from Canada. This was not guesswork. Insiders said the number was organized, calculated, and part of a formal proposal meant to flip Alberta's allegiance once and for all. The separatists actually planned to pitch Trump officials directly, convinced that Washington would bankroll Alberta's full separation from Canada. The timing lined up perfectly with Trump's wider annexation strategy. Remember, this was the same period he threatened Greenland and called for Canada to become the 51st state. It became obvious that Trump's administration was actively trying to fracture allied nations, to grab their resources and expand America's reach. And Alberta was the perfect target. The province was furious with Ottawa, fed up with federal control, and many believed Eastern Canada was stealing its oil wealth. That anger made Alberta a prime vulnerability in Trump's foreign strategy. When British Columbia Premier David Eby found out about the secret meetings, he was visibly shaken. At a press conference, his voice trembled as he said, "To go to a foreign country and ask for assistance in breaking up Canada, there's an old-fashioned word for that, and that word is treason." His reaction sent shockwaves across the country. Even though Eby stopped short of labeling all separatists as traitors, he said clearly it was completely inappropriate to seek help from a foreign government to weaken Canada. Across the nation, outrage erupted. Ontario Premier Doug Ford called for unity, and Manitoba's Premier Wab Kinew lightened the mood by joking that a Manitoba referendum on staying in Canada would have 2 options: yeah and heck yeah. The message was loud and clear. Asking Trump's America to split Canada apart was crossing the line. Mark Carney chose his words with care, but his message hit like a thunderclap. He said, "I expect the United States administration to respect Canadian sovereignty. I am always clear with President Trump to that effect." It was calm, diplomatic, but everyone knew what it really meant. Carney was telling Trump's team straight up, stop meddling in Canada's affairs, stop the secret meetings, stop the financial bait, and stop trying to buy off Alberta's loyalty. Even Danielle Smith, who had long been friendly with Trump and had even visited Mar-a-Lago in January 2025, drew a firm line. She said the United States must stay out of Alberta's democratic process, insisting that any decision about the province's future belonged to Albertans and Canadians, no one else. For someone with pro-Trump leanings, that statement turned heads. It showed that even his allies were uncomfortable with America's interference. At that time, the APP needed 177,000 signatures to trigger a referendum, and at first, it looked possible. Mitch Sylvester crisscrossed the province, hosting rallies where Make Alberta Great Again hats popped up and American flags waved proudly. The movement looked fired up, but the reality was more complicated. Polls told a very different story. A research firm found that only 19% of Albertans supported immediate independence, just 1 in 5. Many who signed the petitions were simply venting frustration at Ottawa, not truly ready to break away. The referendum threat was more about leverage than liberation. Even when the Republican Party of Alberta ran a candidate in a by-election that June, they got crushed. The New Democrats took far more votes, even in a riding that was supposed to be a separatist hotspot. The numbers didn't lie. Separatism was loud, but tiny. And after Ottawa paused the federal emissions cap, clean electricity rules, and carbon capture policies in Alberta, the movement lost steam completely. In the end, it was a lesson in sovereignty. Carney's quick action and the realization of what separation truly meant brought Albertans back to the table. The $500 billion offer was never about helping Alberta. It was about expanding Trump's map. But for now, that map remains unchanged. The rebellion that once looked explosive suddenly fizzled out before everyone's eyes. The Alliance Project became a top priority, the world's largest facility of its kind. Ottawa even looked at loosening the tanker ban on the northwest coast to let Alberta's oil reach the ocean. Every demand from Danielle Smith's 9-point ultimatum was met, ending what she called the dark times of the Trudeau era. Carney delivered everything, and Alberta finally felt its energy wealth was free again. At the Calgary Chamber of Commerce, Carney got 2 standing ovations, something unheard of for a Liberal Prime Minister in Alberta. The deal worked. Smith proudly told Albertans that Canada can deliver and that staying in the Federation actually pays off. The new pipeline to the Pacific became Alberta's lifeline to Asia. Right now, 93% of Canadian oil still goes to the US, tying Alberta to American politics and Trump's threats. But with Asia, China, Japan, South Korea, and India desperate for oil, this project changes everything. Alberta's heavy crude is a perfect match, and now it finally has a path to global markets. With the new pipeline, Alberta could finally charge global prices instead of cheap US discounted rates. Smith highlighted how it made Canada less dependent on the American market and gave Alberta real economic freedom. The irony was sharp. True independence from the US made Albertans less eager to leave Canada for it. Trump's $500 billion offer suddenly looked tiny compared to trillions in long-term revenue from Asian markets. Carney called it taking back control, declaring, "We used to explore in this country. We will chart new courses again. We will build big, build fast, build bold. It is our country, our future. We're taking back control." That surge of economic nationalism hit home. Canada was reclaiming its power. Soon after, Thomas Lucas launched Alberta Forever, a pro-unity movement officially approved by Elections Alberta. By August 2nd, volunteers were already gathering signatures, proving that the new dream wasn't separation. It was strength through unity. The question was simple. Do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? It was a bold counter to the separatist push, aiming to prove that most Albertans still believed in unity. Thomas Lucas said the goal was to show the legislature and the world that Alberta's heart was still Canadian. By October 28th, the Forever Canada petition exploded past expectations. 456,000 signatures, more than double the required amount. Meanwhile, the separatist side still struggled to hit 178,000. The message couldn't be clearer. Alberta stood with Canada. Signatures poured in from everywhere: Calgary, Edmonton, Red Deer, Lethbridge, Grande Prairie, from conservatives, liberals, workers, and retirees alike. They all agreed that separation would be a disaster and that Trump's interest in Alberta was a threat, not a blessing. After Carney's deal met Smith's 9 demands, Alberta finally felt heard. The province wasn't trapped anymore. It was respected. Trump's interference backfired completely, sparking a wave of Canadian pride that crushed separatism once and for all. Eby's treason comment hit hard with voters. In uncertain economic times, most people preferred stability. Independence looked way too risky. Negotiating assets, debt, and new treaties could take years, while the new pipeline deal promised steady growth right now. The choice was obvious. The separatist movement had no real leaders, no elected officials, no seats, just frustrated activists. Meanwhile, Forever Canada, led by Thomas Lucas Shook, came off far more credible. Even if they reached the goal, Danielle Smith could refuse a referendum, citing the massive Forever Canada petition, and under the Clarity Act, separatists would need a clear majority, something impossible now. Trump's $500 billion offer meant nothing now. You can't buy loyalty when the people say no. A vote Danielle Smith knows will fail. Alberta was never the easy target Trump thought it was. Yes, it's conservative and rich in oil, but it's also proudly Canadian. U.S. officials assumed Alberta's frustration with Ottawa meant it wanted out, but they were dead wrong. Albertans wanted respect and control, not a new flag. Trump's $500 billion promise couldn't compete with Carney's deal, which gave Alberta access to Asian markets worth trillions, plus the perks of Canadian stability, citizenship, and health care. That's a lifetime win. Even American analyst Brandon Weichert claimed on Steve Bannon's show that Trump's 51st state talk was aimed at Alberta, but that fantasy ignored reality. Polls showed 80% of Albertans opposed independence. Carney's approach crushed separatism by doing what Trump never did: listening, negotiating, and giving Alberta what it actually needed. Alberta wanted a pipeline. Carney delivered. Alberta wanted respect. He gave it. Trump's secret deals and $500 billion promises backfired hard. His interference made separatism look like treason and sparked a wave of Canadian pride. The Forever Canada petition hit 456,000 signatures, crushing the separatist push. Trump dreamed of turning Alberta into the 51st state, but that dream died in Calgary when Carney and Smith signed their deal. Alberta stayed Canadian, stronger than ever, building pipelines to Asia instead of walls with America. That's how you defeat separatism, with leadership, not money. Subscribe to Canada Today 13 for more analysis.